The first time I noticed mile marker 117, it was because my phone lost signal right as I passed it. No gradual drop, no warning. One moment I had music. The next it cut to silence so cleanly it felt intentional. I glanced at the dashboard clock and watched it blink once, then continue as normal. The marker itself stood alone on the shoulder of the road, reflective paint catching my headlights for just a second longer than it should have. 117, nothing else, no exit, no service sign, just trees pressing close on either side, the road threading through them like it didn't belong there. I wouldn't have thought about it again if the feeling hadn't followed me. That subtle urge to slow down, to pull over, not out of necessity, no warning lights, no discomfort, but curiosity, sharp and sudden, like remembering something important just out of reach. I checked the rearview mirror and felt a strange relief when the marker disappeared behind me. My signal came back a few miles later. I told myself it was coincidence. Dead zones exist. Roads stretch through forgotten places all the time. The second time, I was driving at night. Same stretch of highway. Same silence as my phone cut out. Same pressure behind my eyes, like the road ahead wanted something from me. This time, I noticed things I hadn't before. There were no pull-offs near the marker. No gravel shoulders wide enough to stop safely. Just narrow strips of dirt swallowed immediately by undergrowth. The forest there was thicker, older, leaning in toward the asphalt, as if it had grown around the road rather than been cut away for it. I passed the marker and felt my foot ease off the accelerator without conscious thought. The car slowed. I gripped the wheel harder and forced myself to speed up, heart pounding, embarrassed by the effort it took to keep going. When I checked my GPS later, mile marker 117 wasn't listed. The numbering skipped from 116 to 118, like the space between them had never existed. After that, I started noticing patterns. No one stopped near 117, ever. Even during the day, traffic thinned noticeably around that stretch. Cars maintained speed. Drivers focused straight ahead, like animals crossing thin ice. Once, stuck behind a semi, I watched its brake lights flare briefly as we approached the marker. The truck didn't slow. The lights went out again almost immediately, like the driver had thought better of it. I asked around. Truck stops. Rest areas. People who drove that highway regularly. Most shrugged. Some frowned, thinking. A few changed the subject outright. One older man, sipping burnt coffee at a roadside diner, froze when I mentioned the marker. He stared at me for a long moment before saying, "You don't stop there." Not don't. You don't. Like it wasn't advice, but a description of reality. When I pressed him, he paid his bill and left without finishing his drink. The first confirmed stop I heard about came from a forum thread buried under years of spam and dead links. A man claimed his car overheated near mile marker 117. Smoke, warning lights, the whole thing. He pulled over because he didn't have a choice. According to his post, the engine cooled faster than it should have. Too fast. He stepped out of the car and realized how quiet it was. Not just no traffic, no insects, no wind, no distant sound of movement. The road stretched empty in both directions. The forest stood perfectly still. He said he waited 10 minutes before getting back in the car. The engine started without issue. The temperature gauge read normal. When he drove away, he noticed something missing from the back seat in his rearview mirror. Something he couldn't remember owning, but felt a sharp sense of loss over anyway. He ended the post with a single line. Don't stop. It doesn't give things back the same way. I should have listened. It was raining the night my tire blew. Loud, sudden, unmistakable. The car jerked, warning, lights flaring. I fought the wheel, heart racing, already knowing where I was before I saw the reflective paint in my headlights. Mile marker 117. I coasted as far as I could before the rim hit asphalt. The car shuddered to a stop, angled awkwardly toward the trees. My phone was dead, no signal, no emergency bars. The rain fell straight down, heavy but soundless once it hit the ground. I sat there longer than I should have, hands locked on the wheel, telling myself help would come, that someone would pass. No headlights appeared. The road behind me looked longer than it had before. The forest felt closer. When I finally stepped out of the car, the air felt thick, resistant, like walking through a space that didn't expect movement. The trees didn't sway in the wind. They leaned uniformly toward the road. That was when I heard it. Not a voice, not a sound exactly. More like a pressure, a suggestion tugging at my attention, an invitation. I became aware of the space just beyond, the tree line, a shallow clearing barely visible through the undergrowth. It felt important, familiar, like something I'd been meant to check before leaving. I took one step toward it and felt the weight shift, the forest responding. I stopped. I remembered the forum post, the diner, the way everyone avoided stopping because stopping meant participating. Whatever mile marker 117 was, it wasn't a place to rest. It was a checkpoint, a moment where something waited to see what you were willing to leave behind to continue. I got back in the car, shaking, rain soaking my clothes. I didn't fix the tire. I didn't check the damage. I started the engine and drove on the rim, sparks flying, the car screaming in protest. I didn't slow down until the road widened and the forest receded. When my phone buzzed back to life miles later, I nearly cried with relief. The tire was ruined. The car needed repairs. But when I checked the back seat, everything was there, nothing missing, nothing extra. I'd passed through without stopping long enough to be processed. Now, every time I drive that highway, I speed up near mile marker 117. I don't look at it directly. I don't acknowledge it. And sometimes, late at night, when the road is empty and the rain falls too straight, I swear I can feel it waiting. Not angry, not impatient, just ready.